Pathophysiology. You've got words you've never seen before, over 50 disease processes, and no time to understand it. That's what we're talking about today. Welcome to Conrad in the Making. No joke, pathophysiology is an intimidating course. So you have all these organ systems you got to know. You have to know the structure and function of all of them. You got to know what happens whenever it goes wrong. Whenever I took it, I had just over 5 weeks to get it done, and it was combined with our health assessment class. So there was a lot I had to get going and study for, and it's tough. Even though it is intimidating though, once you get it down, once you understand some of the disease processes and how some of the organs work together, you can start to piece together what your patient is going to look like whenever presented with certain symptoms. First and foremost, you have got to have a good understanding of structure and function of the human body. Likely you already took the course, anatomy and physiology or structure and function before coming into nursing school, but if you don't have that at the top of your mind refreshed and ready to go, it's going to be tough to understand what these pathologies and disease processes look like. I mean, it makes sense. If you don't understand what the body is supposed to look like and how it's supposed to function, how are you going to understand whenever a pathology comes about or whenever there's disruptions in these functions of the body? I know a lot of you guys aren't going to have this, but I was fortunate enough, and my classmates were fortunate enough to have an instructor that reviewed some of the structure and function with us, so that we already had a good ground going forward. And we were also able to go down to a cadaver lab at our hospital where they dissect certain people that have come through and donated their bodies. And so we were able to go down and look and see what an actual organ looks like and how it's structured anatomically on a real cadaver. Likely what's going to happen is you're going to be faced with a PowerPoint that's going to give you a disease process. It may give you the definition, the causes, what you are going to see from the patient, and what the patient might tell you about it. And just trying to memorize that big list of things isn't necessarily the way to go whenever looking at all these disease processes, because whenever you're looking at a patient, it's going to be too difficult to match up what sign and symptom go with which, because a lot of them overlap with each other and it's just going to be a big mess. And that is where a lot of nursing students go wrong. They intentionally try to memorize all the slide, and they try to get it all down, and whenever it comes time to put it on a test or put it into clinical, then they're not able to reproduce that knowledge because it's just a bunch of words jumbled up in their mind and they can't apply it to real life. A good rule of thumb to nail down all of these disease processes is to memorize the definition of it and memorize the causes of these pathologies and of these diseases. If you know those two and you understand the structure and function of the human body, then you should be able to apply your knowledge and figure out what will be wrong with the patient. Nursing school is all about critical thinking, right? It's not about strictly memorizing and placing it out on a test. I had my first round of tests this past summer, and it's not simply just swallow all this information and regurgitate it out. You have to critically think through these situation-based questions and give an appropriate answer. And many times the questions, they're going to all have right answers, and one's just going to be more right than the other. So memorization isn't going to help you at all whenever it comes to those kind of questions, and in real life whenever you see patients presented with these things. One of the best study methods that I use is that I would come up with hypothetical case studies for patients that may be presented with certain signs and symptoms. And I would do this in a group with a group of people, and so we would just kind of sit around in a circle, and each person would take turns, and they would look at the slide with the disease process, and they would give us, all right, a person comes in with this, this, and this, what do they have, right? So they would give us signs, symptoms, and possibly causes, and then we would have to guess what they had or use our critical thinking to understand what they had. And this kind of studying really made it easier on us because whenever we were faced with a 6-hour course in 5 weeks, we needed to really cram down the studying every day. And so instead of getting burnt out on memorizing a whole lot of stuff, we would just kind of play games with hypothetical patients and try to guess what they had. And that's what it looked like on our test. We were presented with a patient. It was a situation type question that presented with certain symptoms and other issues, and so we had to come up with what they had based on what they were presented with. Every one of my classmates that I studied with, at least, that we played those case studies with, all of us passed with flying colors, A's and B's. And so it really is an effective method for studying, and even though patho is intimidating and tough and you have a lot of information thrown at you, you can go into it headstrong if you just have the right mode of mind and the right way to study. That's all I have for you guys today. I hope you liked the video. If you found it helpful, if it helped you out in your patho class, if you like what I'm doing here, please subscribe and stay updated and see what else I'm doing. I hope to do more educational videos like this to just give a couple tips going into each class. But thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe, keep the community. I'll see you guys in the next one.